Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday and welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. With me, your host, Asia Nasir. I am the founder of my nonprofit organization called Jessica Cares, which is a female empowerment platform to help young girls and to help women to be able to, live fulfilling lives, intentional lives, lives that help them, build on their self-esteem and sense of self-worth because of identifying with who they are and what they bring to the table in any room that they encounter. Our nonprofit organization provides personal development workshops, vocational, entrepreneurial, and so on. So for some of you that are brand new, to our page, welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. This is something that I've started doing, I think last week was the first one, and just really wanting to just infuse some positivity midweek for some of us that are, just going through life. And life just has a way. Sometimes you have a streak of some great stuff happening, and then all of a sudden it seems like you're having a streak of just things that are unforeseen, that you're just like, whoa, I wasn't prepared for this. And so we just need those reminders of, and, recharging our mind and kind of looking at things from a different perspective. And so I'm hoping to infuse that every other Wednesday with some positivity, some things to reassess, and some things that we can do some self-reflection to see how we can do better and be better, to be the best versions of ourselves for just not us, but for those that we love the most. And so that's why I'm here. And for those that tune in to my talk show, Conversations with Asia, and now Wake Up Wednesdays, welcome back. Welcome back. I'm really hoping that everyone is having a good week. I'm having a great week. I'm having a great week, and I'm actually really excited about the topic that we're going to be talking about today. And please, for those of you who are tuning in, whether you're in YouTube land, LinkedIn, or if you're on Facebook, please feel free to, leave comments, questions, engage this discussion, because that's what it is. It's just a conversation. It's not me talking at you. It's really just, us having a discussion and engaging and growing and evolving together in a positive way with some positive strategies for that in our life. So what I wanted to talk about today is kind of heavy, but I don't want to make it a heavy topic so early in the morning. But I did want to, just impart some things that we can think about, things and how we can move forward. And this is a reminder to myself as well, as to, those that are tuning in. One of the things that have been happening it's always been happening. Really, this is not something new. But I think with the onset of COVID and everything, that all the changes that COVID brought, which is loss of life, loss of jobs, loss of health, I think a lot of us took a hit. Our children, just the same. So this topic is not just for adults. And my platform is for women. But if you're a guy tuning in, I'm sure you can benefit. Especially if you have a mom, a sister, or whatever. We've really taken a hit. Our lives change. Our children's lives change, from going to school to them being quarantined. Virtual learning. Some of our businesses had to pivot. Some of our businesses didn't make it. Some of us lost loved ones. Some of us were hit with COVID and really went through a period where our health was not the best, and just recuperating from COVID. That was a transition period. Some of our jobs changed, and it really took a toll. Some of us were isolated, and for some of us who are like myself, who is an extrovert, that wasn't easy. That wasn't easy being isolated. Some of us thrive off of, being around people and people's energies and, sharing our energy. Some people really thrive off of that. So for many of us, and for many of you that are watching, really went through a period, and that's been like for the past 2-3 years, I would say like 3 years, we've went through a really transition period. And for some of us women, it really started to poke and really started to prod into how we see ourselves and how we define success and how we define, failure in our lives. And some of us right now are walking around feeling like we're failures, feeling like we failed in past and present, feeling like some way, shape, or form we're not the women that we want to be, we're not the young ladies that we aspire to be, and that we failed in some way. And that's through the changes that have been happening, or just in life, things that have been happening in your life or happened in your life. You're feeling like, you have defined yourself as a failure. And I'm going to be transparent. I've been through that. I've gone through that, not just once, but on multiple occasions, due to different things, divorces, job opportunities that didn't come my way, my business not going exactly where I wanted, or having to pivot because of personal changes in my life, my business having to, take a different trajectory than what I wanted, and sometimes feeling like I'm not who I aspire to be, and somehow I failed. And I think that type of thinking is extremely damaging, and you have to catch it. You have to be proactive, and you have to be on top of it. I think it's natural to feel that way when you've had multiple, as we say, we take some L's. If we've had multiple L's because of it, I think it's natural, it's normal that thought will come into your mind. However, Wake Up Wednesday is to really help you wake up and see that it's just for a moment, those things, and that we should not sit in those spaces and just allow it to say, okay, this is now my identity, because of maybe one occurrence or a series of things happening, and now we have defined our entire life as we failed, or that we are a failure. So what I wanted to just share with you, and discuss with you, for those that are, want to tune in and engage, just 5 things to think about. I wouldn't say 5 tips, but just 5 thought processes, food for the soul kind of things to think about, as we're navigating this journey of trying to be the best version of ourselves, and trying to get out of that rabbit hole of feeling like I've failed, and that I've failed not only myself, but the people that I love. So let's get right into it. One of the things that I've noticed, that we don't do for ourselves, but we're really good, especially as women. Women, we love to talk. Sometimes that's our healing process, is having to talk through it, right? And so we'll call our friends, we'll talk to our friends, and we talk through that process. However, the self-talk that we have sounds so different than the conversations that we would have with our closest friends when they're going through something. And that is, we don't embrace self-compassion. When our friends call us and they tell us, oh, this is what I went through, this is what I'm going through, and I'm feeling this way, we're like, wait, no, that's not correct. Let's assess this. Let's look at it for what really happened. All right. We have grace. That's the word, right? We have grace and compassion and empathy for our friend when we talk to them, but yet we're not our own best friend. We're not our own advocate. We don't have that self-compassion. We don't have that grace for ourselves, and really assessing, the situation, and saying, was this me, or was this something external that I'm just feeling bad about right now? I'm just not feeling too good about this. And it really has nothing to do with me. Embracing self-compassion is really important when you've gone through an L, or gone through a series of L. Really embracing self-compassion, and that it's okay that some days you're not going to feel your best, and you're going to have some days that you're going to feel like, I thought I was doing so good, I thought I was over this, and then all of a sudden you see something, you're triggered by something, and you have a moment. That's okay. That doesn't make you a failure. That makes you human, right? So give yourself grace to say, you know what, this didn't turn out the way I thought it was. The person wasn't who I thought they were. Maybe I did, overlook some red flags when it came to jobs, or a person, or whatever it was. And just giving yourself grace to be like, I'm human. I'm not God. I don't have infinite wisdom. I'm limited in my ability to be able to assess certain things just as a human being. And so, okay, I didn't read that. I didn't read that well. I didn't read that person well. However, if you did do your due diligence, and you're like, I can't control what someone portrays themselves to be, or what this job withheld, or there was a change in management, and so life at this job changed. Those are things that you can't control. So give yourself grace, and give yourself some self-compassion to say, look, I'm not a failure. I'm just human. and have that conversation. Speak to yourself like you would speak to your friend, where you would be objective. You would look at the whole picture and then, let your friend know, hey, this is a negative narrative that you're giving yourself and feeding yourself, and it's not necessarily true. We have to speak to ourselves the same way, so that way this feeling of failure doesn't become the main thought that we have for ourselves. Is because we actually do have some self-compassion and are looking at it from that perspective. Ask yourself, when you're going down that, I'm feeling negative and I'm going through this, ask yourself, what would I say to my friend? What would I actually say to a friend right now who's saying the same thing that I'm saying? And then see the difference in how you're actually thinking and what you would actually tell a friend. So have some grace, have some compassion for yourself, so that way that type of talk, it has a balance. It has a moment, but then it has okay, let's look at it how it really is, and let's have that discussion, whether it's within ourselves or just in our thoughts or whatever. Really have that conversation of, what is it that I'm really feeling, and have some empathy for yourself. So the other thing that we could do to really help us to overcome that self-doubt of, who am I? Am I who I portray myself to be, or who I aspire to be, and I'm a failure, is, and this is a big one. This is a big one. And I had to recently do this, is reevaluate your definition of success. What is your definition of success? A lot of us place success, which there's nothing wrong with having goals, right? Having landmarks that if I reach this goal, or if I reach this goal, or if I reach this goal, there's a level of accomplishment and feeling like I have fulfilled something, right? Some level of fulfillment. We should all have that. But some of us rely heavily on I have to reach this mark. So for example, I need to make 100,000 this year. If I don't make 100,000 this year, some of us feel like we failed. Some of us really feel like we failed, and we're a failure. We're not, we're not living the life that we want. And so it's really giving us, a distorted view of who you are. Now, when I say reevaluate success, is look at the progress. How much did you make last year? Did you make 60,000 last year, and now this year you made 90,000? No. Did you hit 100,000? No. Are you closer to 100,000? Absolutely. Did I make more than last year? Absolutely. So looking at a number or looking at something specific and saying, oh, well, if I don't reach that, I'm not successful. That's really a distorted view. Look at what is the journey, what is the progress, what is the improvement that you've made, that you can actually look at and say, hey, I actually did well with this. Evaluating what you define as success is not always external. Sometimes it's things that you can't put a price on, you can't put a dollar amount on, you can't put it into something tangible, right? So what I mean by that is focus on the things that you value. Focus on the things that you value. Meaning there's nothing wrong, like I said, with having goals, like I want to make this amount of money, I want to buy a house, or whatever whatever that is. There's nothing wrong with that. But I also want that when you are defining success or creating your goals, create goals as well, keeping in mind what success is. So focusing on things that you hold value to, like your health. Are you eating better? Are you making improvement in your health? Is your health well? Your relationships with people, whether it's family, maybe you come from a broken home, or maybe you come from, a family that communication is difficult, and you're making it a point to say, I'm going to have positive relationships with my family. I'm going to have effective communication with my family. I'm going to have, positive, impactful relationships with my friends and so forth, because that's something that I've never seen before. So I've made it a goal that part of being successful is I break the cycle of that. Or that I have positive relationships with my children, that I have an open communication, or that my marriage is one that we love and support one another, something that I've never seen before, something that you value. What is your relationship with our Creator, right? Something that you value. because sometimes the tangible, like $100,000 or a house, you know, sometimes that's not in the picture right then. However, even if you don't make that particular goal, but part of what you have assessed as being successful is, I have a happy family, I have a wholesome family, my home is peaceful, I've created an environment for love and friends and things like that. I've created that type of environment for myself. That is successful also. And sometimes we take those things for granted, like, oh, that's a gimme, and it's not. There are homes that are chaotic. There are homes that people sit in the driveway and don't want to walk into. You know, sometimes you want to drive past your house and not come in because the environment is not a welcoming, peaceful one. You have some people that don't have friends. I mean, you look at TV shows today, like Basketball Wives, and I don't even know how they look at themselves and call themselves friends, much less sisters. The way they talk to each other, the way they treat each other. I mean, do you have wholesome friendships? Do you have longevity friendships that you've had for 10, 15, 20, 30 years? Can you say you have those type of friends? And if so, you are a blessed person. That is success. That is success, because you have some people today that can't even find one friend. And here you are, maybe one or two that you've had for decades, centuries. So that's something, redefining what you find as successful. So it's not always the tangible. It's things like your relationship with God. Do you speak with God every day? Do you have conversation, a real relationship? Do you feel close? Do you feel like that's your go-to, that you have purpose in life, that you are fulfilling your purpose, whatever that might be? So if you're not sure of what those are, take a moment this week to just redefine what success is for you and write down one of those things, keeping in mind the things that you value, the things that you actually value. Am I attaining that? Am I doing that today? Am I changing the narrative for my family? Am I doing something different or creating something beautiful for my children or for the next generation or for me and my spouse, my partner, or just for myself, right? What do I value? How is my health? Do I take care of myself? Those are things that are also things that you should look at as being successful, as being successful, you know. So many times we, especially with social media, if my body doesn't look this way, I'm not happy with my body. But you're healthy. Your body can do things that other people can't do. Your body is capable of being able to help you to accomplish certain things because of your health. Don't focus on so much of what the body looks like, but focus on so much of what the body can do and is doing for you. So that's a way of reassessing failure and success. The other thing that I want to share is successful, setting realistic and meaningful goals. So a lot of times we set those tangibles, where it's like, I want to have a house by this time. I want to run my own business by this date. I want to do this. And those are great. We should be aspiring for something. We should be getting up and having purpose and meaning, for our day. But break down your goals, because sometimes those goals are not something that's going to happen tomorrow. So you have to have something that keeps you going in the meantime, that motivates you to keep going for the bigger goals. So set short goals, short-term goals and long-term goals. And I think we all hear that, especially in business. Set your short-term goals and your long-term goals. You should do that on a personal level as well. What are your short-term goals? Maybe it's, that home office that looks like, a storage space. Maybe that short-term goal is, I'm going to create a workspace in my home that I can be productive, that it's reflective of me, building creativity or something. And that could just be tidying up your house, changing the curtains. You know what? I'm going to create a different theme in my living room. Short-term goals, long-term goals. Have that, and celebrate your small wins. Celebrate those small things, like, do a before and after picture of your room or your office or your children's room, or whatever it is that you're doing. Do a before and after. Do a before and after of, um, some project that you're working on, and celebrate the small wins. Like this week was a breakthrough. I was able to clear out this, or I was able to, finally start. I started researching and looking for things for my, to start my business. I'm not there yet, but I actually carved out some time to get this thing going, or I reached out to a business coach and I have an appointment. Celebrate those things, because they're all steps that are leading to what it is, that goal that it is that you want. So in the short term, it's leading to the long-term goal. So focus not so much on perfection and that, oh, I've hit that goal, but focus on the progress. Progress is so important, because if you can see the before and where you are now, and how close you are, or closer you are to what it is that you're trying to attain, it gives you that boost. And it's like, I'm doing it. I'm actually doing it in my crazy schedule, and and all the hustle and bustle of all my other responsibilities. I carved out time for my goals. I carved out time for something that I said I want to accomplish, and you're actually doing that. So, focus on the progress, and not so much the actual thing happening, or it being perfect, or looking exactly as you had envisioned in your mind. Sometimes things happen in a way that it didn't necessarily happen in the way that you thought, or looked in the way that you did, but at the end of the day, you're still there. So sometimes we have to get out of our own way and say, but it wasn't supposed to look this way. It wasn't supposed to happen this way, but it did. And this is something that, my faith teaches. And I think all of us who have faith, we believe that, we plan, but our creator is the best of planners. So sometimes what we plan is not necessarily God's plan. And while he allows us to get to the final destination, the journey in which it takes for you to get there may look different than what you had. So be flexible with the fact that there may be some setbacks, there may be some pauses, there may be, these small steps, instead of this big step that you take and move into, whatever it is that you want. Sometimes it's the small steps, and he knows his purpose for us. So, keep that in mind, and ask yourself to learn the lesson. What is the lesson from a setback? Not so much that it is a setback, but what was it that I'm supposed to gain from this? Pray about that. What was I supposed to gain from this? What lesson was I supposed to learn? What is it that I need to take from this in order to be a better person, to be a better whatever it is, and for me to move better in that direction? I think these are all things, and especially for some of us that are mothers, trust and believe our daughters are watching. How our daughters will define success and failure for ourselves is how we respond, not react, but how we respond to setbacks. And then allowing our children to be able to see that setbacks is a part of life. I look at every person that I've admired, or I've aspired to, take from here or there. And like, I really love that about them. When you read their story, or you hear their documentary, or you see their documentary, their trajectory wasn't like this. Their level of success wasn't just this thing. It had ebbs and flows and valleys. It was this, then it was just plateau. Then it had different peaks and valleys. And that's what you have to embrace, is if you aspire, if you admire someone successful, learn their story, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear something like, it wasn't just a straight shoot to success, or how you define success. It was a journey, and some of it had setbacks. So the fact that you have setbacks lets you know that you're not the only one, and that is a part of life. But the fact that you are resilient, and the fact that you are persevering through it, and that you're praying through it, and that you're pushing through it, that in and of itself is a reason to celebrate the fact that you're moving forward in spite of, what is coming your way, or what has come your way. And the other thing that I wanted to share is seek support. Seek real support. And I'm not just talking about therapy. In some cases, if you need to seek therapy, someone professional that has a level of expertise for something that you're struggling in, then by all means do that. That is no longer a taboo thing. That is no longer something that, we should be ashamed of. I think therapy, counseling at times, depending on, what you're going through, may require that, that may be necessary. But when it's not, and you just need someone to talk to, make sure that you're talking to someone that has good intentions for you. If you're sharing, look for that, look for what I call your village, right? Look for your village that's going to help you during the times when it's not so pretty, and you're not feeling at your best. Seek that. What I see today is a lot of people sharing, and they're sharing in spaces that they shouldn't, and then they're wondering why they're feeling even worse than they did before. A lot of people, especially women, and I hate to say it, but they're using social media as a platform for therapy, and that is the worst place. Half of the people that are on your social media page, you don't even know them. You don't know their background. You don't know their level of faith, if they even have any. You don't know from what perspective they're coming from, and yet you're putting your personal, very personal struggles on social media, and you're getting advice. Sometimes I read some of the things that people write, and I'm like, I wish they would just delete this whole post, because this is not going to help them. It's going to make them feel worse. You know what I mean? Find your support system and stay off of social media as it relates to sharing your story. Share your experience, share your hurt, share your struggle with those that really care about your best interest, really care about you. So even if that's one person in your village, whether that's a coworker, whether that's a childhood friend, whether that's a family member, whoever that is, reach out to that village and share what you're going through and get different perspectives from someone who can be that, hey, you're looking at this really negatively, not objectively. And I know because you're in a space where you're feeling bad, but did you notice this? Did you see this? Do you understand this? And help you be able to kind of balance your thoughts so that way it's not all negative, right? And last but not least, what I wanted to just share before I, get off here, because I know it's morning and everybody want to get into work, but engage yourself in what I call self-improvement activities, things that's going to help you feel good and build up your self-esteem. So this is even through the L's. These are even through your setbacks and things like that. Look at some things that you can engage yourself in. So one of the things that I found during COVID that I didn't really realize was a hidden, thing that made me feel so good was cooking. I really started to, engage in cooking and looking at recipes, watching, Top Chef and all these different shows. And I was like, oh, I love this stuff. And then being able to cook for my children and cook for my loved ones, it made me feel good about myself. It made me feel good. Now, it didn't take away the other things that wasn't going well in my life. However, it balanced that it wasn't all bad, that there were still positive things, and there were still positive things that I can contribute to myself to make me feel good and those around me. So if that's picking up a new hobby, if that's cooking, if that's, exercising, or, just saying I want to start juicing and learning how to do that, whatever that is, if it's volunteering, even maybe volunteering for some type of nonprofit cause, those are, picking up a new skill set. Those are things that you can do for yourself that make you feel good, to help you build your sense of identity, that you're not just defined to this loss. You're not just defined to, this thing just happened to me and it was negative. It's not what I expected. And then that's the only thing that's going through your mind. Now you have something to look forward to because of this new thing that you're taking on just for you, right? So don't choose, and then don't choose things that are tied to whatever it is that hurts you. You know what I mean? Sometimes we have a tendency to want to kind of hold on to this one thing that hurt us. And so we'll pick, hobbies or new things that remind us of this other thing. Don't pick something completely different, something outside of it. Maybe reading, or I'm gonna start a audio book club and listening to positivity, or whatever it is. But choose something that's outside of whatever it is that hurts you. You see what I'm saying? And then, you know, celebrate again the fact that you were able to do this. Take pictures, like if you're cooking, take pictures of your food and things like that. Absorb and enjoy and marinate in this new thing that you're doing that helps you feel better, because it is going to help you get through the things that you want to get through. I want to say one last thing to the women that's watching is, we have to get away from just defining ourselves based on titles. I'm a wife, I'm a mother. Yes, we are all those things. I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a this or whatever. Make sure you steer away from just the labels, because sometimes in those positions and in those roles, we have some heartaches, we have some heartbreaks. And even in those, if we define ourselves as I'm Asia, I'm this, I'm a good person, I'm a good friend, I'm a whatever it is that you do outside of those roles, when you're going through hardships, you're not just defining yourselves through the hurt. You're defining yourself as a holistic person with facets and all different kind of aspects of who you are. And then you can embrace and redefine yourself as not being a failure, but just a work in progress and someone who is living life, and that you have good moments and you have your bad moments. You don't put yourself in a situation that is going to be more damaging to you than it is a benefit to you. So it all starts in here. And if this is not thinking right, everything else is going to follow. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope this woke you up and gave you some great ideas to move through your week, and reassess where you are in life, and hopefully it will bring some benefit to you, and those that you love. So in a couple of weeks, stay tuned for another live here on Wake Up Wednesday.